The question is, can Congressman Paul survive the attacks now that it's apparently his turn to receive them? Joining us now, a man who has worked with Congressman Paul for decades, good friend of the show, Lew Rockwell, chair of the Mises Institute in Auburn, Alabama. Lew, it's a pleasure. Welcome back to Freedom Watch.
Judge, great to be with you.
Given that
Especially
there's
today.
big government, thank you, Lew. Given that big government seems everywhere these days, every aspect of our lives regulated by the federal government, how do you explain the rise of Ron Paul?
Well, I think it's precisely that. It's actually two things. First of all, the economic crisis. This is what's changed from 4 years ago when, of course, Ron said there was going to be a crisis and everybody laughed at him. But, of course, he was correct. So after 4 years of economic terror, we're all afraid for ourselves, for our parents, for our children. We're worried about the future. We know that we know about the crony capitalism on Wall Street. We know about Goldman Sachs and Citibank and Bank of America and all the big J.P. Morgan, all the big guys living at the trough at the expense of the average person. People are angry about that, as well they should be. Also, and it took them long enough, but today they realize we're living in a police state. I mean, not only is the government running a police state, in fact, all around the world for many, many countries, but they're running one here at home, and there's nothing that's beyond them. The great John T. Flynn defined totalitarianism in terms of a government as a government that felt it could do anything. There was nothing beyond it. It might not do everything, but if it decided to do anything, it could do it. So this is the government that, for example, can order us not to use our cell phones in our cars. People are sick of it. They're angry about it. They want to change.
Right. It certainly seems to be getting that way. How do you read the Republican establishment, Lew? I mean, what would the Republican establishment do, for example, if Ron Paul wins the Iowa caucuses, and right now he's in a tie for first, that's just 3 weeks out, and then wins or finishes a close second or even a tight third in New Hampshire? What will those establishment, big government Republicans that run the party do?
Well, first of all, of course, they're terrified of him. But I think they're not going to be quite as vicious as the media will be because they're afraid he might run as a third-party candidate or as an independent. So they're actually not wanting to drive him out of the party. So I predict they will not be quite as nasty, but they'll use surrogates in the media and otherwise to go after him. And as you said, the knives will be out.
How do you explain something like Bob Barr, who was one of the prosecutors of Bill Clinton in the impeachment saga, who was the Libertarian nominee for president in 2008, who calls himself a staunch Libertarian, endorsing Newt Gingrich, of all people?
Well, I guess he wants to have a future in Georgia politics. I don't know. I must say he's always had an animus for Ron Paul. And so I guess that must be part of it. Bob Barr is good in some civil liberties areas. Some people would question whether he really is a libertarian in other matters. But I think it's just a matter of judging his own future, and he wants to be getting good with the Republican establishment in Georgia. They all endorse Gingrich, which it seems to me all you need to know about the Republican establishment in Georgia, that they would be for this neocon warmongering crookster from D.C.
All right. Lew Rockwell giving us the inside scoop from the Ron Paul view. Lew, it's always a pleasure. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Judge.